It was a Wednesday, a day like many others, but this one was different. School closed worldwide and everybody was suddenly thrown into remote learning. Students, teachers, parents had no choice but to embrace a new reality. Today, the whole world is upside down and we don't see the end of it. For you, for me, for everyone, COVID-19 has changed the world forever. With whole industries on the brink of collapse, the world will have to change tremendously in order to survive. Education too will change radically, and we've started to see in the last few months where it could be heading. How can we, teachers, educators, leaders, prepare for this change? How can we know what works and what doesn't without spending time reinventing the wheel? How can we give our very best for our students? Today, I would like to share with you 5 easy steps to make your online teaching even better. And I created this channel so we can talk about it. In this channel, I want to explore with you the problems that you are facing and offer some possible answers. Remote learning happened to all of us without warning. We all made mistakes, learned from them, and we all changed as a result. The long-term consequence is that education will change tremendously in the months to come. Deep, revolutionary changes are around the corner, and I would like to work with you so that we are all prepared for the next curve in education. Talking about the next curve in education, you should definitely watch the TED Talk by Kawasaki. He explains very well what jumping curve means. The link is in the description below. And if we are not already on the next curve, we are certainly preparing for the jump. What does this mean for us teachers and for our students from a practical to a philosophical point of view? Let's see where this takes us. If you're like me and you feel deeply concerned with your students and their progress, the big question is, what makes online learning successful? How can we shift from a traditional model of teaching to a new one that we will be shaping as we go along? Today, I'd like to start with something really simple, how to give better instructions. I will share with you 5 easy steps to make your instructions better, easier to follow, and getting better response from your students. Online learning is very different from traditional learning because our relationship to time is different. In traditional teaching, students can ask questions in real time to check their understanding. They feel safe in their classroom environment. Online learning is very different. It could be technical difficulties, some delay between when the task is set and completed. People tend to forget things in a couple of days. Sometimes students find it embarrassing to interrupt a whole class session online, or even by private messages. I experienced this on 2 levels. As a teacher and as a parent trying to help my kids complete their own remote learning work. We've all faced this. The biggest frustration that I faced was actually working out what to do because the instructions were not clear. And then I had an epiphany. The teacher assumed that we understood what she meant, but in reality, it turns out things are very different. Not all the students have got the same computer skills. Not all of them will remember the previous lessons. Some of them will be using Mac, some PCs, some iPad. Some will have lost their email that you sent last week. So my first tip is not to make any assumptions. Write your instructions as if the recipient had forgotten everything, finds it difficult to use a computer, and lost all the previous notes. Make it as easy as possible and you will get much, much better results. This is what I do when I teach my mum how to use a new app on her iPad. And I did it for you too. When you follow the link in the description, you will see that it points to the exact relevant part in Guy Kawasaki's video. Does it take more time? Not really. It only takes empathy. The second tip is to write everything down. Take a step-by-step approach and number every step to complete the task. A numbered list works really well for me, as students say their progress through the task and can pinpoint the step that causes problems for them. Again, nothing really complicated here. Online learning does not have to be complicated, but things are done differently. The third step is to provide all the necessary resources in one place. There is nothing more frustrating than having to leave a page to make sure that you have everything to start a task. Assume people are lazy or disorganized. It's much easier to click on a link than having to go back to your email to find a document. Cloud space is cheap. Make the most of it. On this point, I would like to share something that I found, infuriating. Often, I have to type by hand a long web address like this in order to access one of the resources. Why? Why not use a free URL shortening service like tiny.cc to make this look like this? My fourth tip is to be very clear about the outcome that you expect from your students. Even in creative activities, the outcome should be clearly explained to them. And if you can, provide a sample of what you expect. It makes marking the work so much easier, and again, it removes possible confusion. A picture is worth 1,000 words. The final and most important tip is to be there for your students if they need help. It's not part of the instructions per se, but think about it more in terms of after-sales service. Kids want to do well in general, and getting stuck can be frustrating for them and for the people around them. Be there for them. Sometimes a little nudge in the right direction goes a long way. What you have to understand is that online learning has changed our relationship to time. It does not necessarily mean more time, but time better spent. We will explore this in another video soon. To wrap things up, I need you to do just one thing for me. Just one thing. Next time you write some instructions for your students, make sure that they are detailed and easy to follow, numbered, gathering all the resources in one place, explaining the outcome clearly, and that you are here for those who, despite all of this, manage to get stuck. Humans can be very unpredictable. This way, we can make sure all our students are more enrolled in their learning and that they're making the most of what online learning has got to offer. And we're building good habits, preparing for what the future holds for us. Look after yourselves, and see you soon.